Welcome, Paulina.
Thank you. Good, this worked.
Yeah, we got you in correctly now. I'm just getting us set up on YouTube and then we'll start. So for everyone who's on, I know we have some people joining us already. It'll just be a couple minutes and then we will get started. All right, so it looks like we're all set up on YouTube. If you are joining us on YouTube, feel free to put any questions or comments in the chat and I will see them. For those of you that are joining us here on Zoom, same thing. Go ahead and put your comments in the chat. And if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A and we will address them either as they come up in the presentation or at the end. So please know we will answer most questions. But we are going to focus on health insurance information and orientation updates today. So, I would really like, you've all seen me before. I feel like my face is always here, but Paulina is an amazing person that you are going to get to know very well soon. So I'm going to let her introduce herself before we get started.
Thanks, Alyssa. Hi, everybody. It's so good to have you in this webinar. As Alyssa said, my name is Paulina. I am one of the assistant directors here at the KIC, and I work a lot with students once they arrive on campus. So like she said, we'll be working, we'll get to know each other well during orientation and during your time at MSU.
Yes, and I will say you should all be super happy that Paulina has joined our team because orientation has become so much more fun with her. So get excited.
It will be fun, that's for sure. A lot of information, but it's going to be good information.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at this time. And we will go through the presentation. So again, today we're going to be focusing on information about health insurance and the importance of it, and then also orientation updates. Please know orientation is still being planned. You know, we're still in the process. So some of these things may change slightly, but mostly they're going to be how we present them today. So without further ado, let's talk about health insurance. And Paulina, please feel free to jump in whenever you want. Just like, go ahead.
Will do.
All right. So everybody at Minnesota State University is required to have health insurance. So specifically, international students are who we work with, and we ensure that you have a health insurance plan that is going to take care of you while you're here. So why is health insurance important in the United States? The number one reason is healthcare is incredibly expensive here. So for example, I just went to the doctor for a very normal office visit, nothing special. And my visit was actually over $300 without insurance. So we don't want you to have to be on the hook for that much money every time you need to go see a doctor or a nurse. We want to make sure that you can afford to do so. And the best way of doing that is having you purchase health insurance. Additionally, unlike in many of your home countries, a lot of things that are purchased over the counter in your home countries, so you can go to the pharmacy and buy things. A lot of items are by prescription only here in the United States. So that means if you need an antibiotic, or maybe if you need some really big painkillers for an injury, those things in the United States, you cannot just go to the pharmacy and purchase. You actually first need to go see your doctor, have them prescribe it, and then you would be able to pick up your prescription from a pharmacy and an actual pharmacist. In those prescriptions, if you do not have health insurance, each one of those bottles that you could get could be $50, it could be $90. If you have medication for something like diabetes or a chronic illness, those medications can often be in the hundreds of dollars every month. So with your health insurance, you have a lot of coverage. So you do pay a premium up front, but then you pay a lot less when you do have to go to a doctor's visit. So I don't know, Paulina, I know you were an international student once, a while ago. And how did you feel coming in, and what was maybe the biggest difference that you noticed in the health system?
Yes, like Alyssa said, our health system, I think it's so different than what many of us are used to back home. So it is going to be really important to understand how your health insurance works, and work closely with us and with our advocate that we have here on campus. So you don't accidentally end up with a really big bill, right? We want to make sure that you do utilize your health insurance correctly, because it is a little bit different than what you are likely used to at home. Like Alyssa said, I think for many of us in our home countries, healthcare is likely more affordable than what it is here, especially here without insurance. So very important to utilize that health insurance correctly.
And we're going to give you more information when you come too. So don't panic. We're going to help you through it, but this is a good way to start understanding. So, because of all these reasons and our past experiences, our system, Minnesota State colleges and universities, requires all international students to purchase the health insurance. So whether you have health insurance back home, or maybe you have a family member who's here in the United States and you want to join their health insurance, unfortunately, that is not allowed per our policy, and you will be required to purchase the Minnesota State sanctioned insurance. Our insurance provider is through United Healthcare Student Resources, and you can purchase this at the cashier's office, or you can pay for it online. So one of the benefits of buying our health insurance is we are in a system of 7 universities and 30 colleges. So we are really trying to always get you the best deal that we can. So while health insurance is still incredibly expensive, and I'm not going to lie and say that it's not a lot of money, we are actually getting you premiums that are much better than if you are at other universities in different states. So out east, if you were to go in New England, health insurance costs range anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 a year. So we are trying our best to keep your prices as low as possible while still ensuring that you have the proper coverage. The biggest thing to talk about and that you need to know is you must pay for your health insurance before you can register for your classes. If you do not make that payment, you will not be registered. There's no exceptions to this policy. So I do have the price. I hope I didn't forget to put the price on here, but the price for coming in January and going through August which is normally it's August to August, but January through August is about $1,400. So you need to arrive on campus in January with the ability to pay $1,400 very soon after you arrive. So you should plan to pay it by January 3rd, either online or when you arrive on campus, because if you don't, you'll have a delay in your registration. Paulina has been working really closely with our registration team, so I'm not sure if she has anything to add, but she might have more reasons why you need to make sure that you're ready for that.
Yeah, so what happens if you don't pay your health insurance, like Alyssa said, then you won't be able to register for classes. Remember, our orientation is January 2nd through January 5th. Your registration will happen on January 4th, okay? Classes begin right away that following Monday. So if you don't pay your health insurance, you can't register, therefore you cannot start classes on Monday. It's not excuse me, January 2nd, January 3rd, you cannot start classes if you're not registered for them. So like Alyssa said, very important that one of the first things that you do when you arrive is make that health insurance payment.
All right. So yes, come prepared. This is the thing that holds up students the most. I need like all my fingers and all of my toes to count the number of students who were affected this fall when they arrived, because they did send money through their bank to the United States right before leaving, but they forgot that that can take up to 5 days for processing. So you want to make sure that you do this ahead of time, especially with the holiday season. Banks may not be working as much as they normally would. So be prepared as much as possible. All right. So I'm getting a little click happy with my presentation. So if you're seeing the slides go through, I'm sorry. All right. Any questions on health insurance before we get to orientation? So on YouTube, I see the question, how much is international health insurance? And I apparently did forget to put that on the slide. So we have the insurance cost for $1,400 roughly. So plan for that. All right. So orientation is mandatory. Everybody needs to be there. So sometimes we think that orientation isn't a critical part of the process, but orientation is incredibly important for many reasons. The most basic reason is you're going to get here and you're going to be jet lagged. You are going to be getting used to a new city. You are getting used to a new language. Minnesotans have a funny accent, so you need to get used to that. We don't want you to be doing that when you are starting your classes. We want you to be adjusted to the time, ready to get to class on time from the beginning. So that is why we require orientation. Paulina, do you have any other reasons beyond that why orientation is so important?
No, you said it. It's you're gonna get so much good information that will. Our goal for orientation is to really set you up for a successful first week of classes. So if you do not do orientation, you're really gonna get to class on Monday with not the necessary tools. What we continuously hear from students is that a lot of the things that they learned during orientation were really, really helpful in getting that first week going in the right track. So absolutely do plan on coming to orientation and really trying to pay as much attention as you can.
Yeah, Orientation is so important, and really, it is fun. I'm not going to lie to you. We do a lot of fun stuff. So orientation dates are January 3rd through the 5th. You have to be here by January 3rd. So if you have booked a plane ticket to arrive on January 6th or maybe 7th, you need to work with your airline company now to change that and arrive by January 3rd. We recognize that many of you are super excited to get here, which is great because we're very excited to welcome you. So we actually will be ready to welcome you on January 2nd. So if you are here in Mankato already, I highly encourage you to come to the Kearney International Center, which is in the Centennial Student Union, and we can start doing your check-in process. So this way you're not going to have to wait in the lines that are as long on Wednesday. It'll be faster. And you can actually do placement testing on Tuesday right away if you choose. If you are required to do placement testing, and if you want help getting into your email or figuring out even maybe like, how do I log into the learning platform or e-services to pay things, we will have IT support for you on January 2nd. So a lot of good stuff. Campus tours will be happening. So really, we encourage you, if you are here in Mankato on January 2nd, come over, come see us, get out of the house a little bit, start getting some of this stuff ready to go. There's also a fun thing. I'm going to let Paulina talk about it because she's the one planning the fun thing and I don't want to take credit. But that evening, we have something fun planned for you that has food. So.
Yes, that Monday or that Tuesday, like Alyssa said, if you are going to be here and getting some of these items taken care of, at 4 o'clock, we are going to be doing bingo and pizza. Bingo is a really popular game in the United States. And when international students come and they play for the first time, they have such a good time. And we have prizes, and it's really a great way to start meeting other new international students. What we often see happen is those, that come to orientation and really start building those friendships, those become your first friends. And it's a really great support system to have because everybody there is going through the same kind of as you are, right? Because you're new, they're new, it's a new country for everybody. So certainly building that connection through a really fun game and having pizza and winning prizes and just kind of relaxing and having fun is a really good way to get your feet wet.
Before we go on to the next slide, I do see some good questions here. So on YouTube, I see, at what time can we arrive on the 2nd? Paulina?
Yes, we will be ready for you at 10 a.m. So if you do want to come on the 2nd, if you are in Mankato, you can come starting at 10 a.m. Great time, like Alyssa said, to start kind of doing that check-in, paying if you want to go do on a campus tour, start getting that IT support. In the past, we have heard that the IT piece has been really, really helpful to students because you don't want to get to registration day and realize that maybe your credentials are not working for whatever weird reason. It's really great to get all of that out of the way on those first few days.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the registration piece, but we have had students who have gone to registration and not been able to log in. So I do see the question on Zoom, is the placement test mandatory for everyone? For most people, for most bachelor students, you will be required to take either or both a math and English placement test. The important thing to remember is this is not a unique test to international students. All of our incoming students take these exams. Any of our students that have taken an SAT do not need to take a placement exam. So if you have taken an SAT in the past, go ahead and send those scores into International Maverick. And I'm going to type that answer here in the chat too, but go ahead and send those SAT results to intladmt@mnsu.edu, and they'll get it in your record so that when you come, we know, and at check-in, we'll tell you, like, you don't need to do placement testing. If you do need to do placement testing, or if there are some questions around maybe your SAT scores, maybe you're right on the line between one class and another, we will ask you to take a placement test. And you won't be able to register until you take that. So it's really important that you do it. All right. And then one more question I see here is, can you pay health insurance in installments? So unfortunately, you cannot pay the health insurance in installments. You do need to pay it all at one time. So come ready for that charge of about $1,400 roughly. And then this is an annual expense that needs to be paid actually in July for students who are continuing. So every year you will have a charge in July. It will be higher because it will be for 12 months. So good.
There was one more question that said if check-in could be done before the 2nd of January. And unfortunately, the earliest you can check in is January 2nd, starting at 10 a.m.
Yeah. One thing about winter, or a January start, is we're coming right off of winter break. So the Centennial Student Union has decreased hours. So if you do get here like December 26th, 27th, I will put the CSU schedule on the orientation website so that you can see if the building is even open. All right, we're going to keep going. And then if we have any of those other questions, we'll go ahead and come back to them. All right. So International Student Orientation, day 1. So on that Wednesday, if you have not come to check in on Tuesday, we will be ready to do your check-in at 9 a.m. Paulina's probably like, what? I thought it was 10. And I made a little change, sorry. Because you all have an advising appointment at 10 a.m. So we want you to be there to talk to your academic advisors. So don't worry, Paulina, I'll be there at 9 a.m. I'll be in charge.
That's a very good point. Thank you for thinking about that. No, yep, 9 a.m. works.
So we'll be here at 9 a.m. ready to check you in if you're a bachelor student. So come on over, get up early, come join us at 9 a.m. because at 10 a.m. we're going to actually already get you in with your academic advisors for advising. The rest of these things, Paulina is the expert, so I'm gonna mute myself and hand over the mic.
Yes, then once you're done with your advising sessions, you can, again, if you just got here on the 3rd, you can still go on those campus tours. We will still have the IT support. But for the fun part, starting at 3 in the afternoon, from 3 to 5, our International Student Association, who's very active on campus, will be having a welcome event for all of you. Last semester, they had food, they had some drinks, they had games. So again, a really great way to connect with returning students and with new students, especially through the International Student Association. And then we'll get, that hour break. If you want to go get something to eat, just walk around. And then we will meet again at 6 at the Myers Field House. Is our indoor track. And we have an indoor climbing wall. If you've ever done that, it's really fun. International students love participating in that. And we will have badminton set up, soccer, basketball. So just because it's winter and it's really cold doesn't mean we cannot continue to, do all of those fun sports. And I think many of you like back home. We do have the opportunity to do that indoors. So be on the lookout for that right away on Wednesday, January 3rd.
All right. I'm pretty excited for that welcome event. And I do see that there are lots of questions in the YouTube chat. Please know a lot of your questions we're getting to in the presentation. So I'm not ignoring you, but I want to go through the presentation and then we'll come back. So on day 2 of orientation, there is registration for bachelor's students. So if you are coming in as a first-year student or as a transfer student, you will be registering on day 2 of orientation. That's correct, right, Paulina? Okay. And then additionally, there's going to be some info sessions for you all, which anytime we have info sessions, really, you need to come. I know sometimes it seems like, oh, I've been a student before, I know, or I want to go do this thing with my friends who are playing hooky. But here's the thing. We put these info sessions on for you because they're incredibly important information. And if you come to us the next week with the question and you weren't at these sessions, I'm going to say, I told you so. And we really need you to be there. That's when we're available to help you. And we want to focus on registration and other items your first week of classes. So I know I'm a little stern and strict, but you need to be there. I bet Paulina's going to agree.
Yeah, all of these sessions, and they're really intentional, right? Like we don't just pick topics just randomly to talk to you about. These are topics that students consistently have questions on. So we want to get you off to a really good start by hopefully being able to answer a lot of those questions right away during orientation. That's not to say that later on in the semester, you will likely have more questions about the scholarship, about credits when you register, about the work permit, but this is really going to give you a really good background going into the semester. Again, it's info that students consistently come to the office asking about, so we thought it would be a really great idea to put all that information out there right away during orientation. So certainly make a point to attend all of those sessions. Then in the evening, once again, we're going to have another great activity from 4 to 6 p.m. It's at Hosanna. It's a church very close to campus. It's walking distance, where we always have a great group of local families that love to give all new international students a welcome. There's usually a lot of giveaways. There's, winter jackets and blankets and hats, mittens. There's food. It's a really great way to connect with some of our Mankato community who are always so excited to know that new international students are coming, plus your other fellow new students.
Yeah, and on this slide, I know it says registration for bachelor students. These other items are open to all students, though. So if you're on and you're a master's student, please come to the work permit session. It will be relevant to you, I'm sure. Understanding your GPA and credits, also very relevant to you. The International Maverick Scholarship is only for bachelor's students. So if you're a master's student, it's probably not super relevant to you, unless you maybe have friends back home who are interested in joining us here as a bachelor student, and then maybe you want that info. But, and of course, everybody is welcome at the evening activity. All right, so day three. For those of you who are grad students, this is your day. So you can actually come check in on Friday as well. So January 5th. And after that check-in session, there will be an orientation session that is geared specifically to you. It's going to be information that other students probably wouldn't even know they needed, but you need as a graduate student. And then I will actually let Paulina again cover most of these things because she's in charge. But again, these sessions are really important. So be sure that you're planning to come.
Yeah, for the rest of you, if you are not a grad student, we want you to come to our welcome lunch at noon. It's free. We usually have a really great spread of food. And again, another really good way to connect with one another. Right after the lunch, we do have mandatory information sessions that everybody has to attend. These sessions are gonna, we're gonna talk about immigration, which is such an important piece for you to understand while you're a student at MSU. You want to make sure that you're not only doing well in your classes, but that you are staying in compliance with your F1 visa and all of those regulations. So that session is really key in understanding what are your responsibilities as an F1 student. Right after that session, we will have another one on student health services, which is our on-campus health clinic. And that is where most of you will likely get your health care from. So again, very important to know what kind of services they can do for you. How does the health insurance work? And someone from Student Health Services will be here to give you more information, which again is really, really valuable. That will be followed by campus safety. We do have someone from that office who comes in and gives a really good presentation on how to stay safe. By all extents, Mankato is a very safe place to live. MSU is a very safe campus, but it's always really good to be aware of any safety issues, things to look out for. Again, it's a new country, so it's always good to know what to be on the lookout for. Then in the following that, we'll have someone from Student Financial Services that can really be able to give you more information about when your tuition is due, what happens if we don't pay our tuition in time, can you make payments, how does it work if you want to transfer money from abroad. They'll really be able to give you a lot of that really, really useful information. Because again, you want to make sure that you stay on top of your tuition payments so you can continue to register for classes. Then we're going to have a really fun session on how to get involved on campus, how to find those student organizations that you can be a part of, how to really make the most out of your semester at MSU, because we want you to do well in classes, but it's also as important to find those connections with all of these groups and to stay involved. That really makes your stay here that much more enjoyable. If you make that good group of friends, that purpose aside from just doing well in classes. And of course, one of our most popular sessions is how do you find a job on campus? I think most of you are likely thinking about being able to find a job here. So that session will help you figure out how to navigate that. We will be doing a big raffle at the end of all of the sessions for a chance to win an iPad. So you do want to make sure that you stick around for all of the mandatory sessions, as we will have an iPad and another big prize that I have yet to determine what it is. But pretty good deal. Come get free lunch, get some great information, and have a chance to win an iPad.
So can staff join that raffle or?
I know, right? I want to put my name in there.
Yeah. All right, so that is the end of the PowerPoint that I put together, but I do see we have some questions, so we'll go through those now. So on YouTube, we've got a question from Don. Welcome, Don. He asks, what happens to one if the embassy turns me down? Will I be allowed to join anytime after or later? This is a good question. If you have an unsuccessful visa appointment and you cannot arrive here by January 3rd, you really need to defer your application to fall 2024. We make these policies because we have data showing that students that arrive late they're not as successful in their first semester of classes. And when you're not successful in your first semester of classes, it usually is really hard to kind of recover. Okay. So we're really doing this because we want the best outcome for you. So if you can't get here to campus by January 3rd, you need to defer to fall 2024. We also have a policy about registration. Paulina, do you want to talk about the January 12th registration deadline?
Yeah, for all of you who are going to be joining us this spring semester, it is mandatory. You must be registered for classes by Friday, January 12th at the very latest. If you are not registered for classes by January 12th, we will terminate your student record and you essentially will not be allowed to remain in the United States. So, like Alyssa said at the beginning of the webinar, you have to be prepared to come and pay for your health insurance in order to be able to register for classes. So you have to be registered by Friday, January 12th.
And I know sometimes when students are coming from other cultures, other locations, deadlines are not taken as seriously, and there's a little bit of flexibility. We have no flexibility this semester. The policies are firm, and we will terminate if you have not met the registration requirements. So we're not doing this to be mean. We're not doing this to make your life difficult. We're actually doing this to help you in the long run. So, there is also a question here about, will the international office be open if one arrives earlier than 2nd of January? So, kind of. I will be here personally. I will be here on the 27th and 28th of December. Our office is going to be open from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock on those days. So significantly reduced hours because I will be here all by myself. So if you did come, we could have a party maybe. No one would even know. But the 27th and 28th are really the only days after Christmas on December 25th and before January 2nd where we will have staff in the office. This is always a hard time for our staff because it is also the holiday season and we want to make sure that we all get the time that we need to rest and relax. So we're going to try and keep you as informed and updated as possible before Christmas. But again, on the 27th and 28th, if you have questions, I will be here and I will be happy to help you. Paulina, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about like welcome drivers and when they'll be starting?
Yes, we do have some welcome drivers that are fellow students, but they're going to be helping us the weekend before orientation starts. So we rent a car and it will be available for if you get to Mankato starting December 30th, that Saturday, through the following Saturday. So December 30th through January 6th, we do have a car available where if you need to for example, go to the store and get groceries, go get, winter clothes, get stuff for your apartments. We do have that car and that driver that they can take you there, pick you up, and then bring you back to your apartment. Alyssa will share the phone number soon, so you guys know how to get a hold of them. But we do have phone and WhatsApp in order to get a hold of our welcome drivers. And we usually do drive, the time is pretty long. I think it's usually like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. for most days. So keep them in mind if you do get here. And of course, you need to go get supplies. It's a really great way to get a free ride to the different stores in Mankato.
Yes. So as Paulina mentioned, this information will be coming out in the next newsletter that will be coming out this Friday. So check your email this Friday. It's going to have all of these important updates in them. That welcome driver phone number will not be posted online because that's a service that we reserve only for you all. We want to make sure that they're available when you call them. So we don't post the number publicly. Otherwise, they could be getting all sorts of phone calls. So check your email for that one. All right, we're good on YouTube. I'm going to come over here to the Zoom questions. You can't see my screen, but this is where the questions are as I'm pointing. Okay, so when will we get our housing updates? So if you have requested a room reservation on campus for spring semester, you will know on December 14th. So Residence Life will email you with that information. If you are able to secure a spot in the residence halls and you are arriving early, you can move into the residence halls as early as December 30th, 30, so the day before New Year's Eve. So if you're arriving then, you will need to let Res Life know to expect you early, but you will be able to move in on December 30th. If you're arriving before that, there is a local hotel that you could make a reservation at, or maybe you know someone here that you could spend a night or two with. My only recommendation, and Paulina's going to back me up on this as well, is you need to have somewhere that you can sleep planned before you get here. It is winter time. We don't want to deal with not having housing during winter.
It's really difficult to explain. Just saying it's very cold. No, it is very cold. It's that temperature is so difficult to explain it until you arrive here. You will realize, you'll know what we're talking about. So yes, you want to make sure that at minimum when you get here, if I arrive on December 30th, I know where I'm sleeping that night, whether it's on campus or your apartment, or maybe your apartment is not ready until the next day, then you should have that plan B of my friend's house or the hotel where I already have a reservation. But we don't want you just getting to Mankato and saying, I'm not sure where I'm staying. Because again, it's cold, it gets dark early. It's very important to have that plan. And if you do come, of course, you're very likely going to take the shuttle from the airport to Mankato that is going to drop you off on campus. You can then call the welcome drivers. They can come pick you up from the shuttle and take you to your apartment. So again, that kind of takes away that guessing game of how am I going to get to my apartment. Use the welcome drivers. If you do arrive between 10 a.m., 10 p.m., they can pick you up and help you get to your apartment in Mankato.
Yes, it's so cold. Even sticking your head in a freezer back home, it's not the same. So, okay, the next question. Can we schedule an online appointment with an academic advisor regarding class registration? No, I am going to let Paulina elaborate on that though.
Yeah, we really want you to meet for the first time with your academic advisor in person that first day of orientation, that Wednesday at starting at 10 a.m. Advisors are prepared. They're gonna be ready for you. They know that you're coming, of course. So very important to meet with them for the very first time in person on that second day of orientation, excuse me, the first day of orientation. Once the semester starts and you're starting classes, etc., absolutely, then you'll learn during orientation how to make those appointments, to meet with them for future advising, for the fall semester, during the semester. But your very first session is going to be in person the first day of orientation.
It helps when you're unmuted. Sorry. How much do I need to pay to register after paying health insurance? Okay, so you pay your health insurance of $1,400, and then you are allowed to register. Within the first 30 days of classes, you have two options for paying your tuition. You can, one, pay your tuition off in full within 30 days. And then you can make multiple payments within that 30 days. You could pay it all at once, but you need to pay your tuition within the first 30 days. Option two would be to set up a payment plan through our financial services department. It's called Nelnet. And then if you decide to enroll in a payment plan, you may need to make payments before you register, depending on when you set that up. So those payment plans are individualized to you, and you will get the terms and conditions of those payment plans if you decide to sign up for them. You can sign up for a payment plan now, which is going to give you the smallest payments. It'll be, I believe, 5 payments that you get it split into if you sign up now. But please don't sign up for anything until you have your visa. We don't want you to sign up for a payment plan, start making payments, and then actually you go to your visa appointment and you have some issues. Paulina, do you have any other, because you're working with students now, any other tips or recommendations around tuition payment?
No, just really try to stay on top of it. Because again, if you don't pay your tuition when it's due, then that is going to affect your following semester registration. So you certainly don't want to wait till the very last moment to pay for your tuition. The sooner you can start getting that payment taken care of, you're really going to be in the best shape. During orientation, when Student Financial Services comes for that Friday session, they will talk a lot about those payments.
Okay. It looks like we've got 3 more questions. A couple are really quick, so we'll be able to do those, and then we will need to end today. But again, this Friday, all of this information, including this recording, is going to come straight to you in your email. So we have a question about, will we be charged extra for moving into the dorms early? So if you're moving in on December 30th. Paulina, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you will be billed $25 per day for arrival prior to January 5th. That's when residence communities open to all the students. But because you guys do have to get here a little bit earlier due to orientation, it is $25 per day starting December 30th.
And that's a really good deal. So if you are in the dorms and you're like, I don't know, do I have to pay that? $25 is a great deal. Go ahead and pay that.
And for those of you who will be living in the dorms, the person from the dorms, Nicole Faust, and myself, we will invite you to a webinar in the next couple of weeks that will be really specific about those of you living in the dorms. So then she'll be able to answer a lot of those questions. So be on the lookout for an invitation around the week of December 20th. Specifically, again, for those who will be living in the dorms on campus.
And we have talked a lot about people living in the dorms on campus, but if you are living off campus, a lot of this applies to you as well. But unfortunately, we have no way of helping facilitate that conversation. So talk to your landlord before you get here. Make sure that you have the right check-in day and all of that stuff. Okay, so we did have a question about where to find payment plans. I went ahead and put that link in the Q&A. So if you go in the Q&A and look at the live question feed or the answered question feed, you will see that link there. Okay, the last one that we do have time for today is as an international student, no, I'm sorry. Is there transportation options for people from other towns or maybe to other towns? So we talked about the welcome drivers. There is a shuttle that goes between the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport and the Mankato campus. It stops in other locations as well. That is available to students whenever. So that is a private company service and they are available every day and they have shuttles going back and forth multiple times. So that is an option for you. When you get to Mankato, if you do arrive early, like on January 2nd, you're here, or even December 28th when we're open, come stop by campus. We can get your MAV card printed for you. Your MAV card is your student ID. I don't have mine. But with that student ID, oh, thank you, Paulina. So that's what your MAV card is going to look like. That is your ticket to ride the buses for free. So if you have that, you don't need to pay for the buses. So you can get to Walmart, you can get to grocery stores, the mall, downtown. So you'll be able to access those services. Other than that, I don't really know of other opportunities that are public. Paulina, do you know of any other ones?
No, Mankato does have a pretty good transit system with the buses. And like Alyssa said, that you get to ride for free with your MAV card. But if you do want to, go elsewhere where there's no bus, typically you just have to pay privately for, a taxi or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you thought this session was informative, wait until you get to orientation. It's going to be all the information you could ever want. We do have to run now. We've hit our time limit, but I am super excited to meet everybody. I was just talking in a staff meeting today. We're exactly 4 weeks out from orientation. So this is kind of like the fun crunch time. And we're really excited to welcome you.
Same. Looking forward to meeting all of you in January. It's going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, it's cold, but we've got warm hearts here. So we're going to welcome you with warm hot chocolate or something. If you have questions, you can always email us, international@mnsu.edu. We also do have our WhatsApp number, which is on our website. So reach out. Otherwise, this Friday, watch your inbox for that pre-arrival newsletter. If you do not get it on Friday, you're like looking at your email on Saturday and it's just not there, check your junk mail. That's first. Check your junk mail. Maybe it's there. And then if you don't have it, absolutely email us at international@mnsu.edu and we will go check out why you're not getting those updates. So with that, awesome. So excited to see you all in 4 weeks and have a great evening or afternoon.